Yeah, could you please introduce yourself?
My name is Joy Skipper and I'm the chairperson and founder of Community Projects Africa.
Now, could you tell us a little bit more about Community Projects Africa?
It's a charity that I started about 10 years ago. I went to climb Kilimanjaro and I decided I wanted to help the porters that helped me. So my initial plan was that I would just pay for one of them to go to college and go to a wildlife college, so he would then be able to become a guide. And then I met some other people and they wanted to do a similar thing. So I said, well, why don't we start a charity? It would make it easier to get funds and to get the funds through to the college in Africa. And so we started it. That's how it was started, and that was all we intended to do, really. And from then on, it just grew and grew, and now we've built schools and health centres, and it's just continuing to grow, which is great.
Now, before we reach there, or before we go there, what you have achieved, I wanted to know a little bit more about your experience climbing Kilimanjaro.
It was fun. It was quite hard. Luckily, we had a really, really lovely guide, and as I say, the porters, they all want you to make it, so they'll do everything they can to help you. And they're very conscious that there is a danger, obviously, with altitude sickness. So they make sure you take your time, you take everything slowly, and every day they ask you how your health is. So they're very conscious that it is quite a dangerous thing to do for some people.
Actually, it's quite a shame that despite the fact that I'm from the region, I've never really climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, so this is personal. I'd like to learn a little bit more. How long does it take you to climb Kilimanjaro?
You can do it in a short time, but the longer you take, the better, because then you become acclimatised, so you're less likely to suffer with altitude sickness. So we took 6 days to walk up and then just 2 days to come down again. But I think some people have attempted to do it in 4 days or 3 days, but it does make it that much harder because you don't become acclimatised. And what they tend to do is you always climb slightly higher than where you're going to sleep. So you'll walk up a bit, then you'll come down a bit to sleep, again to help you acclimatise. So you do seem to walk a lot further than you have to, but it is because it's to help you health-wise, really. And everyone there were 4 of us and we all made it, so we were quite happy.
And does it require any training regime?
Not really. I mean, you need to be fit and healthy. But I don't know if you saw, there was a climb a couple of years ago, a lot of celebrities did it, and the one that made it, who everybody was amazed by, was Chris Moyles, who's overweight and a heavy smoker. And I think a lot of it is because the people that are less fit don't push themselves too hard, so they do go really slowly, whereas the fit ones try and do it too quickly and then they get the illness. And what our guides did, the first couple of days, they watch you to see who's going faster and who's going slower. And then they make the slowest person go in front, and you all have to walk at their speed, which is a really clever way of making the slowest one make it, but also it slows everybody else down to that pace, so it works.
And do you say that during that trek you were the slowest one, or the quickest one?
I think I was probably the quickest. I train quite hard, I row and I cycle, so I am a bit of I'm going to do this. So for me it was quite frustrating to go so slowly, but I could understand exactly why we had to do it that way.
And how is the feeling like when you're on top of Kilimanjaro?
Amazing, very emotional. A year ago we also did Mount Meru, and again I took another load of friends with me, and we all ended up in tears at the top because it's quite hard, and I don't know, mentally it's quite hard. You know you've got to keep pushing yourself. So when you finally get there, it is quite an emotional thing. Quite a few of the men were crying at the top.
Now let's go back to why you started this experience here, because you're saying you went to Mount Kilimanjaro, then there was this guy that you wanted to help, and eventually you wanted to put him to college. Mm-hmm. What happened next?
Well, the next thing, we had to go back out to Tanzania to decide who we sent to college, because all the porters are worthy of it. They all want to do it. And that was the hardest thing, to pick one person that we were going to send to college. But we spent a week with the porters. At this point we were doing a cycle ride, and they were all with us, and just talked to them all. And the other thing is they had to have quite good English to be able to go to the college, so that was one thing that defined sort of who we picked. And just discuss, who had families, who had children, and who it would mean more to, I suppose. It was a very hard decision because, as I say, they're all worthy and you want to send every single one of them. But we picked a guy called Robert, whose nickname was Tall because he was about 6'7". And he was amazed, speechless when we said this is what we'd like to do for him, because obviously it was going to change his life. It was going to make a lot of difference to him. So he went to college. This was, as I say, this was about 10 years ago. I occasionally now get emails from him. He finished his studies, and we had a company that we travelled with who said that they would employ him for at least the first year, and then after that hopefully he would be able to get work anyway. So and since then we've now paid for 7 people to go to college, 7 guys to go to college. So it's an ongoing thing. When we have a group of people that go out and climb Kili, often they have the same feeling that I did, that they want to help the porters. So if they come to us and say, look, I'd like to do something, we will say, well, pick one of the porters that you would like to help, and we'll send them to college. So
okay, now what I pick from this conversation is the fact that I know this might not sound right, but it looks like most of these porters, we know they have been toiling for ages, making people climb Kilimanjaro, and they really don't get enough. Did you have that feeling? Or they've not been able to?
Well, no, they don't. I mean, I don't know how much they get paid, but I don't think there's ever an opportunity for them to move on to anything else. That's all they know. So they, what chance have they got to retrain or anything? And I don't know what there is apart from tourism there. So the fact that we send them to a college that teaches them sort of mountain wildlife means they can be a guide, which is probably the next step up. But without college, they couldn't do that. So, but then maybe there are people there that are not even porters, so maybe they are quite lucky in that they have a job, but it's just trying to help them up the next step of the ladder.
Now let's go through this journey, and then you set up this charity. The charity was called Community Projects Africa. What are the aims of this charity and objectives?
My aim was purely for education, to help people help themselves, basically. Without education, it's very hard for you to get any further in life. So it started off, as I say, for the college. Mweka College was the college we sent them to, and then we went to a village, and there was a school, and it had no furniture in it. So we saved some money and made them furniture, and then we went to another village, and they didn't even have a school. So then it all started to grow, and I realised that would be a great thing to be able to do, was just to go into a village and build a school, to not only help educate them, but to help bring the community together a little bit more, I suppose, and made them have a focus for their children. And so that was, it's education just to help them so that they can go on to help themselves a bit more, and don't need, it's all very well giving financial help, but that doesn't really help in the end.
Now, how many schools have you helped as a result?
We've built 3, we're now on the 4th school, and we've, other schools we've put furniture in, or we've decorated them, helped them that way. But from start to finish, we've actually built. We're now on the 4th school.
Now, recently I did attend an event at the Uganda High Commission, whereby Link, one of the charity organizations who are helping the education sector in Kampala in Uganda, I did speak to them, and they told me a lot of challenges that they've faced when operating in Uganda. I wonder, as Community Projects Africa, what has been the challenge that you faced while trying to build up these projects, help the people, build the schools, bring in the equipment and all that?
The biggest challenge is always fundraising. It's always getting the money in the first place. But then once you have that, the next challenge to start with, when we were first setting up, was to find somebody in Africa that would help us.
Who is trustworthy.
Who is trustworthy. We lost some money because we had somebody who wasn't trustworthy, but you have to put your trust in somebody, and we can't spend charity money, us flying backwards and forwards trying to organise it, so we have to find somebody there. And luckily we now have a very good NGO that we do trust, and he's worked on the last 3 projects with us, but that is the main obstacle. If you haven't got anybody out there to trust to do that side of it, then it is quite difficult. But
I can promise you that after this conversation you'll have to give me his name, that guy who I'll go out there and take him out. Now, so the issue of trust, then presumably have you been able to look at the curriculum side of it, and the repercussions and the impact of the the free education that is it primary? I mean, university.
Well, we've done nursery and primary in one village, which is sort of our flagship, I suppose.
And which village is that?
Choba in Pangani.
Choba, that is the coastal area.
Yeah, we built a nursery school about 4 years ago, and we teach in English, so the children are learning English from the word go, and then
how many children do you have?
I think there's about 90 children in there. It's a very tiny school, but they obviously do it in shifts.
Okay.
But just having been there and seeing how excited the children are to learn is just worth it. Just seeing that, they're so excited. I can't imagine walking into a primary school in this country and children being so excited, but the children just want to learn. They just so want to learn. So we teach in English. And then we realised, obviously, when they finish nursery school, they'll need a primary school. So last year we went out and built a primary school as well. And you just see the whole community come together. As I said, when we went to build it, we turned up literally to physically build it, a whole crowd of us. And all the village women were there in all their beautiful clothes. And they physically helped us, with the concrete and cement, and they were hands-on helping us build it. So it's a real community. It brings the community together, I think, as well as educating the children.
So how many blocks have you got down there, of classes?
The primary school has 2 classrooms and an office and latrines, and I think already the plan is to build more classrooms because the school was full. The minute we opened it, it was full. So I think the plan is to build more classrooms.
So from Chobe, where did we go next?
The latest project is Lashani, where we were actually given some funds by a trust called Gulf for Good. They raised all the money and they went out as a group to climb Kili and raise money. Gulf for Good. Gulf.
Okay.
So they raised the money, but it came through us and they wanted us to organise the event and organise the school build and everything. So that's being done at the moment. And I think we're building 5 classrooms, repairing 2 classrooms, 2 teachers' houses and 16 latrines for them. So that's quite a big project. So that's quite exciting.
Now, having been brought up in Britain and with all these facilities and opportunities around you, you are born in Norfolk, and having gone to Tanzania and seeing what it takes, the excitement, like you said, when you saw those students excited just to be in class and wanting to learn, do you think that presumably, what was going through your mind?
I get very emotional, and I probably am now actually.
Okay,
it just makes me, it just seeing that these children who have absolutely nothing and they're so excited with nothing, and we took lots of toys and things with us last time, and they even though you could see the excitement on their faces because they'd never seen anything like that, not one of them would touch them, not one of them would take them, and they don't expect anything, and that's why it's such a pleasure to give them something, because they don't expect anything, but they're always happy. From what I can see, they just look really happy the whole time, and it's just when you come back here and see how much people take so much for granted and will complain about the tiniest little thing, and I think everyone should be made to go over there and spend some time with the people that have nothing in their life, yet can find them so much pleasure out of the tiniest thing, and that's what I do it for.
No, thanks. Let's go back again to funding part of it, because it looks like you don't get any grants from the government. Nobody helps you. How do you raise your money to help people out there?
Purely personal. We do lots of fundraising things. We recently did a photography exhibition in Canary Wharf that raised quite a lot of funds. I'm cycling from Land's End to John O'Groats to raise funds, and when we do the climbs, so when we have a trip out to when we climb Kili, if we take a group of people, we always ask them to raise funds to buy the materials for us to build the school. So it's a sort of, it's not really a holiday, it's sort of a holiday, but it's a double holiday. So they'll go and climb a mountain for a week, which is their bit of the holiday, and then we physically go on and start building schools with the materials that they've saved the money for, basically. So it is quite a hard process not getting any help.
Now, I understand not only are you involved in Tanzania, but there are other countries that you're involved in as well. Which countries are those?
Yeah, we've done a health clinic we're building in Ethiopia. I'm also involved in I'm helping another charity, Village Water. I'm rowing down the Zambezi in August, the first ever attempt, so I may not make it. It's maybe the last you see of me.
Make it.